everybody else knows it as Big and Live.
Right.
And I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret. That album was released in 1973. So that means it was actually recorded in late 1972.
No, sir.
It was?
No, that's not right.
Well, that's what Greg said.
No, it's not right. It was recorded in November of 73. Because I said last night my daughter was born just before that, and she was born in October on the 12th, 1973.
Wait.
We won the Dove Award for it in 1974, and that stopped Hamill from ever saying we've never won a buzzer.
Okay. So what we have here is Greg Fox can't remember what happened, and he told me, and that Johnny Parrack told me this just now. Are we sure we ain't with the cathedrals or somebody here?
Where are you going with that?
I don't know. We were going to talk about the beginnings of Big and Live. All right, who picked the songs that went on that recording?
Mostly Jim did that.
Really?
Yeah, didn't
We all had a part in it.
he? Yeah, we all picked songs, but he was in charge of the stage. That's why they call us the Ton of Fun. Nobody ever wanted to follow us because we left things broken and things turned over, piano backwards, stuff like that.
We were 2 chords and a cloud of dust is what Hamill used to say.
And everybody loved it. I mean, there was no more exciting group at that time than the Kingsmen. And like Nick said, nobody really wanted to follow them. And but it was because they had great songs. And Nick, is there a particular favorite song on Big and Live for you?
I'll tell you a story about When I Wake Up to Sleep No More. I may have to make an illustration. Don't laugh. When I joined the Kingsmen, it was just 2 or 3 weeks before we recorded Big and Live. And so I'm telling this on Hamill, but fortunately he's with Jesus, so he won't be able to get me. We're rehearsing at Big and Live, for Big and Live. And so we started to do When I Wake Up to Sleep No More. I played a little intro, and I was, no, I need a good Southern gospel piano intro, something really outstanding. And so I'm going to show you what I did. Hamill said, Bruno, that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Well, he's from New York. What do you expect?
He said, that's why we do it in New York, but we're in the South. He said, play me something Southern gospel. So they said, let's take a break. We took a break. And all those guys, we were rehearsing in Eldridge Fox's piano store. He owned a piano, sales piano. So they took a break. Went over to the coffee machine and sitting around, drinking coffee, eating donuts, whatever. I stayed at the piano because I'm sweating drops of blood here. I have to play on the record and I'm wondering what I'm going to play. So I played, I don't know, everything I could think of, And finally, out of desperation, I just went back and played that again. When I did, Hamill yelled from across the room, now that's what I'm looking for.
That's exactly right. But now, can I tell this? When Nick joined, actually he said 2 or 3 weeks. That's true. And we did that album, but he actually joined a month earlier, but it took him a month. When he joined us, his hair was real frizzy. I mean, and that wasn't Kingsman. We were supposed to look like
That
we
was-
just got out
that
of
was
boot camp.
Stamp Street.
And they sent him to the barbershop 3 times. It took a month for him to get the idea, you know. But that's really true. They kept sending him back.
You know, go ahead.
You know, speaking of that, going back to those times, the quartet convention was held back in '73, I guess it was, in the middle of the year. It's like August or...
No, that was the fan awards. There was 2 separate things.
Well, what I was getting at was Big Chief that sat base with the statesman. He passed away at the quartet convention in 1973.
Yeah, he did.
Well, you and I, back then in our young days, we had ridden our motorcycles to that convention. Remember that?
No, that was me and Bruno.
No, that was me and you.
You were in the sidecar, right?
It was me and Bruno. Bruno joined us. We had a little MGB sports car. And I was riding a motorcycle. And so I talked him into getting one. And so Jim McCauley had one. And I didn't remember you ever riding a motorcycle. Maybe it was a sidecar thing. But no, I don't know. But he and I kind of clicked off. And I don't know why. He's a Yankee, I'm a Southern. And, you know, the two don't ever come together. But we did. And we were just together during the week. And when we would come in off the road, we never saw one another again because everybody went home, and that was fine. And Foxy was really good about not bringing us together and keeping us away from family. Well, he got him a motorcycle. And so we rode everywhere, and we rode to the convention the year that Big Chief died, and Leonard Hollifield was playing the guitar for us, and he loaded up those in the back of his truck and took them back home so we could go on. And I don't remember you riding a motorcycle.
Well, that's to be expected at this time of our life. Remember? Okay, let me tell you.
Here we go.
Let me tell you this, and this is how I know, because maybe my memory's going. But anyway, we had ridden their motorcycles to the quartet convention. Big Chief passed away on a Tuesday night, I believe it was. Well, they were having visitation over at a funeral home over there in Nashville. Well, I rode my motorcycle and went over to the visitation. Well, Nick rode down with the couriers because he was fixing to join us to the convention. Now, I know y'all don't believe I remember all this stuff.
What did you have for breakfast?
You know, I've always heard that as you get old, you start losing a few things, and one of them's memory. And for the life of me, I can't remember the rest of them.
Well, can I finish my story? Maybe you'll ring me up.
Go ahead. It's your turn.
Okay, so went over to the visitation, and Nick wrote down, you're fixing to join the Kingsmen. Are you with me on this?
I'm with you.
And you rode down with the couriers. Now, am I close to being right so far?
I don't remember what I had for breakfast.
This is why proper nutrition and medicine is important, as you read.
Is this the direction we're supposed to be going here?
At this point, though, I don't care. Just
I mean, after that little fiasco you put on last night up here, I just wondered if
hey, Johnny, just be thankful. I only busted my gizzard. That's all.
Well, I'll say all I'm saying, but I'm sorry. That's all right. That's all right.
Motorcycle.
John, yeah. Okay.
he rode the curve.
Nick.
Did they have a motorcycle too?
Hey, Ray, how you doing, buddy?
But anyway, I don't know where else to go with all that. That's what I remember about Nick Jordan. We rode, see if you remember this. You rode back with me on the motorcycle from the funeral home to the convention center. You remember that?
Did you have sight?
I rode with you on a motorcycle. Was it daytime?
Hey, Brandon just said, Dad, you took a cab.
Ray, all I can say is I hope you had a sidecar
Okay, next question.
Well, anyway, I thought you might enjoy that. Whatever it was.
I did, I never heard it.
And by the way, Leonard Hollowfield who played the guitar. He did haul my and your motorcycle home in the back of his pickup.
So, Nick, have you ever ridden a motorcycle? Nick?
Well, I'll tell you my motorcycle story.
Okay.
It was,
Does it involve an old man with a sidecar?
not about maybe. It was January, you remember?
Oh, yes.
January, and it was warm. It was like this in January. And we had to go to the Birmingham area, not too far from home. So we decided to ride our bikes. We followed the bus around to all the concerts. And we got to Sunday afternoon, and the weather turned cold. January cold. So we're riding home, Johnny and I riding home, and I couldn't feel anything. It was so cold.
We actually got off and pushed our bikes. It got that cold.
Yeah. We got to a Holiday Inn and stopped my bike and couldn't put my leg down. So I almost dropped the bike, but that's how cold it was. And so we learned never to ride again in January.
What made it so bad, we sung in the church that night. We got out at night, and they were, you know where the bus went? Straight to Asheville. Left us behind, and of course all the interstates were not complete like they are, but we finally got out of Birmingham to the interstate. One guy stopped and he said, if I had room to put your motorcycles, I'd give you a ride. And I said, I'd give you my motorcycle if you just give me a ride. And we finally, it was Gadsden, and the Holiday Inn used to be on that Tala exit, and that's where we made it to. And when we opened the room door, I tried my best to ride my motorcycle straight in there. And the first thing I did, I got in the hottest tub of water I could find, and I think closing on. And that's how cold we were. It was really cold.
Cold. So don't ever ride in January.
Yeah.
Or with Ray Deen? Hey,
I'm not so sure now that I ever had a motorcycle.
and he ain't kidding. All right. Of course, Big and Live was recorded here in Gadsden and over at the Civic Center at the time. What made the Kingsmen choose Gadsden to do that live album?
I don't know.
I think it's because, and I'm not sure, and y'all correct me, but I think when we started out, before Bruno came, we started out 2 days a week when I joined him. And we got singing in this part of Alabama.
Yeah.
Arab was one of our favorite places to go. The kids out of school would come, and all our
Arab, Alabama.
Arab, Alabama. And so that was started kind of a fan club. They would go all over. They were high school students. And I think it's because, and Gordo was another place that was a favorite area. We sang a lot in northern Alabama, and so I think that's probably the reason we chose it, because of the popularity of it.
But I believe back then, in those days, that was pretty most of the biggest venue around.
That was, because we were just singing 2 days a week. We were getting broken into the northern market and every other place, but this was the area that we became popular.
That's right. You know, especially today, with modern technology and everything, a after a live album is recorded, they'll take it back to the studio and they'll tweak little things, and if somebody wandered off pitch just a little bit, they'll fix that. It's a process called overdubbing. And one of the neat things about Big and Live, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Ray, there was a gentleman who played several different instruments on that album, but he was not actually on stage the night Big and Live was recorded. As a matter of fact, he was a high school student at the time, very talented musician, and later on the Kingsmen would hire him. His name was Gary Dillard.
Yes.
You know him as Deen Reece. And that's one of the very few things that was done to that live album. Pretty much what you hear on Big and Live is exactly what went down that night. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
And it's been a cornerstone album. And also, too, on a lot of live recordings today, there's a song or two that may have got recorded, but never made the final cut, made the final piece of product. But I think everything that was recorded tonight is actually on the album with Big
Except
Live.
one.
What song is that?
We omitted one.
Which song is that?
We sang it right after, it was actually the song right after Apple Tree. Because I listened to it last night, and I thought, why did we do that song when we all get there? What a happy time, that's it. Maybe that's what a happy time, yeah. And for some reason, it got left off, and I didn't even think about it. And Jelly, my son, reminded me, said, y'all sang another song. And it was a good song. And for some reason, you had a lead in it, and then I had a lead in it.
That's probably why we left it off.
It could be. I mean, you don't know if you had a motorcycle or not.
It was green.
Next question.
They're so cute at that age, aren't they? I'm talking about him.
I used to like you.
You know, you've said that about nearly everybody on stage this weekend.
You're the only one that just really.
Oh, don't worry, we're not done yet.
Look, I want you to tell this. You can tell it better than I can. Because your memory's better than mine.
That was a
But
problem.
when we took this recording in the studio, tell them about the executive wanting to take out the shouting and all that stuff. If you would.
All I remember was when we recorded that, he's talking about Sonny that sat back there, and I alluded to it last night. And actually, we had already met Sonny. And so when we set that up, they actually put a microphone in the audience, 2 or 3 places, but they put him right behind it, so it would be heard. And then somewhere after that, I think it was Marvin Norcross, that he thought we ought to take that off, and he was the producer of the album. And Foxy just said no, and Hamill both. They said no, that's got to stay. That's part of it. And what you don't know is, unless you were there, when Jim started singing the second time on Love Lifted Me, he shouted out very clearly. It was right in a moment when no one was saying a word. It was between the words, and he said, "Sing it, fat boy! Come on, let's go." And they left it on there. It's still on that album. But yeah, that's right. I had forgotten that. But it was Marvin Norcross that thought we ought to take it out.
Was that the first Kingsman album on the Canaan label?
It was. We had just signed the label back in that summer, and that was the very first one. It sure was.
Great. Canaan Records went on to become one of the biggest record companies in Southern gospel music. Had not only the Kingsmen, but they had Blue Ridge, the Inspirations, Wendy Bagwell, the Sunlighters, the Goodmans, and just a lot of the favorites of that time. And so if you got on the Canaan label, well, that changed your world, really, because your records were in all the record stores and Christian bookstores at that time. And, of course, you had the opportunity to be on Gospel Singing Jubilee and feature songs on that album, and it just snowballed from there.
It did.
And Canaan had a great marketing program, and it really helped make these 3 and all the members of the Kingsmen at that time household names. So that really set their world going. Ray, do you have a favorite song from Big and Live?
I love them all. That one especially, because that's what we're addressing at this time. But that is one of my little bass singer back here, he always asking me, what is your favorite album? And Big and Live is one of them. It's mostly it. But Chattanooga Live. We had church back then. Well, we had church not, here. But Big and Live was Chattanooga Live was some favorite. But to answer your question, I love the Big and Live because that was the beginning of our relationship and all the things that we did. I want to tell this about John and I. Well, first of all, let me say this, and I've never said it. When you came with us, I was in awe of you. You and I, whether you know it, knew it or not, or still are knowing now, had the favorite, our idol in tenor singing was Denver Crumpler.
Oh, yeah.
And you were from Smackover, Arkansas, was that
Well,
right?
that's where I moved up here from. I'm actually from Texas. My wife is from Smackover, Arkansas. But I moved up here from there, yes.
Any particular name that you and your wife got that was in Smackover?
Well, that's a long story.
Okay. Smackover. What a name. When you said you and your wife come from there, Smackover. Oh, well. Anyway.
That's where the motorcycle is.
And it was green, too. But anyway. Denver Crumpler, who you sang the Statesman, was our tenor singer, was our favorite tenor singer. But I want to tell you, I have never in my life heard anybody that could sing tenor like you.
Amen.
Ray,
One.
that's all well and good. But the question I asked you was, what's your favorite song from Big and Live?
You what? You know the thing that says give people roses while they're living. I wanted to take this time and share with my friend here, Johnny Parrack.
Yeah, you leave him alone. That first time he's ever said anything nice about me.
Oh, give it about 10 minutes. He'll do it again. All right.
Well, I can't say the favorite song because the whole album was a great thing. It was great songs and relationship we had with one another back then, and that I have with these two gentlemen right here. I don't have a favorite song.
Well, they're all favorites, to be honest with you. Anybody who has that album, it is hard to pick a favorite. Now, we found out last night that Johnny's favorite is not the Apple Tree song.
We'd already recorded it twice.
I don't think that was anybody's favorite song.
Not on stage, anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
We might be sharing too much here. I don't know. Hey, now here's something else. Johnny, help me out with this. The album itself. The Kingsmen on that photograph are wearing blues checkered jackets. Hamill has his sleeves rolled up, his tie, and the coach probably in the audience by that point. But that picture is not from the actual concert.
No.
I believe somebody said that picture may have been taken at War Memorial Auditorium in Nashville.
Nashville, Tennessee, excuse me. Yeah, it was.
So if you thought that picture was from Gadsden, no, it's not.
And I don't remember why. Maybe they didn't think about did they have a photographer that night?
Bill Beatty was a photographer.
Okay, for the night of the Big and Live? And for some reason, they didn't like any of those photographs and they chose that one. And I can't tell you if it was before we did Big and Live or shortly thereafter. I think it was right after.
I think so too, because that was another thing Greg was talking to me about last night. And I'm wondering if it was right too. But one thing he did mention, he said, I remember Dad Eldridge saying something about the pictures that all the pictures that really showed everybody on stage, everybody had their eyes closed in the shot. And of course, y'all know that happens a lot. It's just easy to do, especially live when you're going for a big ending or something like that. It's hard not to close your eyes. Well, if you look closely at the picture that's on the album of Big and Live, their eyes are closed on it too. And but it's such an iconic picture, and it truly shows the excitement that the Kingsmen could deliver every single night. That picture is almost as famous as the album itself and the songs that are on there. You brought up Chattanooga Live a few moments ago, and I mentioned earlier, or last night, that Nick was the mastermind a lot of times behind the arrangements of the song, and he created some of the most interesting piano intros for the Kingsmen. And that album, Chattanooga Live, opened with Traveling Home, right? Right? Can you go over and play just an intro to that real quick?
I don't know, I wasn't on there.
What key was I in?
I'll just pick one. That was close. Hey, Alan, you need to be quiet back here. While you're over there, Johnny, we got to do this. We don't get to hear Johnny Parrack sing enough, especially now that you have stepped back a little bit from stage. Would you mind going over there? You and Nick just pick a song and sing a song for these dear people this morning. You pick whatever you want to sing.
Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. Parrot. Yeah. Come on, Parrot. You didn't sing it last night.
We're security! Security! Get this man out of here.
Apple tree.
Lord, you told me that you love me, and I believe you do. But I'm so unworthy, for I've been so untrue. Now here I stand before you to do the best I can do. And I just want to tell you, sweet Jesus, I love you. You brought me through my trials, and I'm in debt to you. You reached way down and brought me from nothing. Dear Lord, what can I do? Now here I stand before you to do the best I can do. And I want to tell you, Jesus, I love you. Jesus, I love you. I want you to know. Forever, Lord, wherever I may go. Now here I stand before you to do the best I can do. And Jesus.